Hey my people, how you doing? I'm having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel, and today I will be breaking down ways that you can replicate and recreate Arne Slot's 4-3-3 formation in the game FC24. Of course, as per always, if you are enjoying this content going forward, please hit that like button, subscribe. If you are new, this is the first crack at it, so I'm very excited. And what I've come up with has been quite nice, to say the very least. I've been very happy with the results of this formation, these tactics going forward, so I think you guys will be too. So for the formation, I have gone with a 4-3-3 attack, and the only real changes I have made is I've dropped the wingers slightly further down, and I've brought them in just ever so slightly, as well as I've made the two central midfielders wider, of course, as you can see with the natural positioning of the two. So it's one goalkeeper, two centre-backs, two full-backs, two central midfielders, one attacking midfielder, two wingers, and then one striker. For the tactics under Arne Slot, I've gone with the tactical vision being set to wing play, and I think that best replicates what they try and do. Of course, they do try and work those the ball into those wider regions of the field through the wingers, and mainly it will be the wingers in those wider sections, not so much the full-backs in this case, but those full-backs can definitely be involved. But it's, like I say, it's not so much. It's more so the wingers in this side going forward. So for Feyenoord, wing play does suit them going forward. For their defensive style, I've gone with press after loss of possession. They try and win that ball back aggressively after losing it, and they try and turn it over quite quickly, and then they'll transition into attack and try and get the striker in Immerse to try and score goals. For the defensive style of things, though, the team width is set to 15. It's a very, very compact structure. We do see it quite a bit with the fullback sometimes just tucking in and making it very hard for the opposition to try and play through. But again, there are pros and cons to everything. And the con is that those wider areas of the field will be left open. Of course, your wingers do try and track back as much as they can to try and prevent the opponent from crossing the ball in certain situations. But more times than not, they can't always do it. So you will be a bit susceptible to the cross, but it will be very hard for the opposition to try and play through the center of the park. As for the depth, I've gone with the 70. It is on the higher side of a mid-block. It can even be considered a high line in certain moments, but it does provide ample protection for both your backline as well as the goalkeeper. So for the offensive side of things, the build-up play I've gone with is a balanced approach. You do want them to be able to have that slow build-up or potentially that fast-paced build-up, but most importantly, you want them to try and maintain their shape and their structure going forward, because if they do turn that ball over, they are very rigid on the defensive side of things, so they still have that shape, they still have that structure to try and revert back into, try and, shrink themselves ever so slightly. So it is a very nice system, you can say, that it does work both offensively and defensively wise. But again, most players, they will be providing runs in and around the opposition's half, making sure that they are linking up play quite effectively going forward. For the chance creation, though, I've gone with forward run set to be on. Of course, you want your forwards in Immerse and whoever your wingers are. You want them to be able to make those runs in behind, trying to test that opposition backline more times than not. And it mainly will be your wingers that will be making those extended runs in behind the opposition's defense. As for the width, I have set it to 70, and essentially, like I said earlier, they do try and work those balls into those wider regions. Your fullbacks will be involved, yes, but they won't always be. So it does fall down to your wingers trying to supply those crosses into the attacking third, or potentially even cut back opportunities. Of course, your midfield will be very involved as well. So the cutback is definitely on more times than not for this team and how they set up going forward. With regards to players in the box, I have set it to 7, and that does allow at least 3 to 4 players to be in that attacking third, making those attacking runs, and hopefully latching onto a cross or a cutback that is provided from the winger. As for corners and free kicks, as for always, I have set it to 4. So for the instructions, we'll start off at the back with the goalkeeper between the sticks. He is set to come for crosses, very aggressive and very good with claiming those aerial balls, those high balls that are whipped into the box. He does tend to claim quite a lot, as well as his saving outside of the box is set to balance. Now, I did note that Hanko, as well as Arne, they do track back quite efficiently, as well as Gertrude as well. So that there's no real need for your goalkeeper to be making those aggressive runs outside of the area and then reclaiming that ball, because more times than not, that 3 in your back line, they do tend to track back quite effectively and efficiently. And moving on into the back line, we've got Hanko and Arne. They are set to their basic set of instructions, whereas the likes of Gertrude, he is set to having a balanced attack. So yes, like I said earlier, they don't always look to get as involved and as high up the field all the time, but they can definitely do it, and that's why the likes of Gertrude is set to having a balanced attacking run. His interceptions is set to normal, as well as his run type is set to mix, so sometimes he can look to, when staying back at least, he can look to definitely invert and more or less try and form that back three if need be, with Hartman being able to be that bombing on fullback. As for his defensive position, I have it set to step up. With the likes of your left back, Hartman, he is set to having a balanced attacking run. Normal interceptions are set to be on, and then for his run type, I've gone with it to be set to overlap. You do want him making those consistent overlapping runs down that left flank, providing a lot of the width down that left hand channel at times. And then as for his defensive positioning, just like the right-hand side, it is set to step up. So moving on into the midfield, we've got Timber, the twin brother of Jurriën Timber, who recently signed for Arsenal. But anyway, slightly sidetracked, but it's a cool side note to have though. Anyway, he's set to having a balanced attack. So both of these midfielders, the central midfielders, will be box-to-box players. Both can look to show for the ball from the goalkeeper restarts and build out from the back, and both can be the attacking player in that final third at times. So you do want them to be able to have that dual role quite effectively. As for the support on crosses, I have it set to stay on the edge of the box for the cross. So if the cross is fired out and it's headed out of the box, they will look to try and claim it, recycle it, and then put it into the most applicable area for that ball to be fired into the box for that cross. For his interceptions, I have it set to aggressive. Now, both of them do look to try and be aggressive, but it's not at the same time. It's one will go, one will stay. But obviously we don't really have that in FC24, that option, that switch. So I've gone with Timber to do it and Wifer to have a normal set of instructions or interceptions set to be on for him. And it just creates a nice balance in the midfield. As for the defensive positioning, it's set to cover the wing, as well as the positioning freedom is set to stick to position. As for Wifer, he is set to the same set of instructions as Quinton Timber, but as you can see here, he has got slight alterations to his game. He is set to cover the center, so he will look to be a bit more of the shield. Of course, they both look to do this in real life, but again, you can't really have the one doing it and the other one not doing it in certain moments. So I've gone with Wifer to be more or less the sitting midfielder of the two, where he will look to try and cover the center, shield the back line, as well as his interceptions are set to normal, so not always looking to aggressively press the opposition high up the field. And speaking of high up the field, we've got the likes of our attacking midfielder, Stengs. He is set to have a basic defensive support, so sometimes dropping off and dropping into the midfield, linking up quite effectively with them. But then the most important thing is he is going to try and, be in and around the attacking third as much as possible, making those deeper runs into the box, waiting for those crosses to be potentially fired into him, and waiting to potentially latch onto a few of them at least. His positioning freedom, I've gone with stick to position. Now, of course, with Stengs specifically, he can have the drift wide approach, looking to try and either help the likes of the left or the right winger out in those wider sections, looking to also try and supply crosses into the box if he has not made that attacking run. But as per normal, I think the natural number 10 role is probably going to be set to stick to position. And then for the interceptions for the attacking midfielder, aggressive interceptions best suits the role. So out wide to the left wing, both wingers have the same set of instructions. They'll both look to occupy those wider regions of the field, providing a lot of the width more times than not. But basically, the defensive support is set to come back, always looking to try and help the fullback out when need be. And like I said, the fullbacks, they do tend to tuck in certain moments, and that's where your wingers will look to try and help out in those wider areas and try and prevent the crosses from being fired into the box. Stay wide is essential. Like I say, they're going to provide a lot of the width going forward. And then as for the support runs, it's set to balance. Now, of course, they can look to link up with the midfield. They can look to make those runs in behind if need be. So you want to have them have that dynamic approach to the game and have the game flow quite naturally for them going forward. And then as for their interceptions, both are set to aggressive as well as getting into the box for the crosses. Like I say, you want around 3 to 4 players making those attacking runs, and when the ball is on the left-hand side, the right winger will be making that attacking run into the final third, and vice versa for the ball being on the right-hand side. And as for the right-hand side, you can see here, it is set to the same set of instructions. And then finally, the man that you've all been wanting to see, Jimenez, of course, he has been absolutely killing it in the Champions League as well as the Eredivisie. Where does he go this summer? Just let me know. As a side note, let me know down below where you think Santiago Jimenez might end up by this time next year. What team will he be playing for? Maybe Spain, maybe England, who knows? Maybe it might be Chelsea. They are looking for a striker at the moment, and he is doing a fantastic job. But anyways, his support runs are set to balance. He does look to try and take up those wider sections, but most importantly, the central areas where he looks to try and attack and get the most out of his game. So Even though he is set to having that balanced approach, he will look to try and take up the central areas more times than not. As you can see here, he is set to a target man, so he will have the ball knocked into him, into feet, hold off the defender, link up play quite effectively, and attack the crosses into the box. He's very good, very powerful in the air, and very deadly as well. He's very good. All he needs is half a chance, and more times than not, that chance is going to end up in the back of the net. As for his interceptions, it's set to aggressive, trying to lead that front line press quite aggressively on the opposition back line, or even the goalkeeper in certain moments, looking to try and close down passing angles, passing lanes very effectively. And then finally, his defensive support, he will always be the furthest up the field forward, looking to try and be that outlet and potentially looking to try and hold that ball up and link up play in transition. So yes, my people, that is my version of Arne Slot's 4-3-3 Feyenoord tactics. If you have enjoyed this, please smash that like button. As per always, we recently hit 2,500 subs, so big ups to every one of you who has subscribed and watched the content over these last few months. Fantastic, honestly, fantastic. Like, you guys have been truly amazing. And as per always, I hope you guys have a damn great day. I'm out.